Have you ever thought copying another dowser's or another house healer's approach to house and land healing is the shortcut to clearing your own home, to getting a vibrant environment? It can be tempting, right, to do what somebody else has done. You see somebody clear the energy of their home or clear their energy of the property if they're a practitioner. You see them restore balance, things seem to be going well, and you think, well, if it's worked for them, then it'll work for me. But hold fast on that. Mirroring or mimicking somebody else's dowsing in a geomantic approach can lead you into trouble. Western geomancy has its roots in dowsing and earth energy work, but it's deeply personal and site specific. Every piece of land, every home has its own unique energy signature. So, what works for one property may be completely wrong for another. So, copying somebody else's methods, whether it's their dowsing technique or the remedial actions that they've taken, maybe they've used crystals, maybe they used copper rods, maybe they've used blessing, maybe they've used a geomantic structure, that can miss the mark entirely in your home. Why? Because you might not be asking the right questions through dowsing for your home or your environment. Dowsing is not just about waving rods or a pendulum, it's a dialogue with the land, it's a conversation. You're tapping into the earth's subtle energies, which carry consciousness and memory and many other things. And you're asking specific, precise questions that are specific in their intention, but also to the specific to that site's needs. What does this bit of land need? Because it's very individual and it's also based on what you need and your relationship together. And think of the infinity symbol. We're in a feedback loop. So the questions that we ask are specific to that relationship. So, maybe that house healer or geomancer that you admire, used a crystal grid, for instance, or put in some kind of geomantic structure to neutralize geopathic stress. Geopathic stress is when the earth energy has a negative effect on us. But if you slapped that same remedy on your home without dowsing for its unique issues and your unique issues in that relationship, if you didn't do that, um, you may miss something. You may miss a ley line that's carrying energy that doesn't suit you, or you may miss an underground water vein that's emitting energy interference that's affecting your health. You could, in theory, even make things worse for yourself. So, unresolved energies might linger. There could be place memory that you haven't addressed. There could be nature consciousness that's disrupted. So the fabric, the energetic blueprint that holds sort of shape and form for that place may not be able to come into full fruition, unfolding like a petal. Or you could even amplify imbalances. So, here's the real trick. Even copying what I do won't guarantee success. And this is something that I teach my students. I have this is how I work, but you need to apply it to your own home. My dowsing questions are remedied, are tailored to each bit of land that I'm working on. So I teach my students to tailor their whole approach to their own home or the land that they're working on. Your home or any other site that you're working on may need a very different approach, very different energies. It may need a small standing stone. It may need a specific intention. It may need the healing of nature consciousness, and then you have to identify what that healing is going to be. Or we may need to redirect small energy flows temporarily around specific things. So blindly copying skips this critical step of listening to the land itself. It is going to give you the answers. So, the solution to this, of course, is to trust your own dowsing practice. Take time to practice dowsing, take time to connect with the site. Ask what it needs and let the answers guide your remedial actions. So, study with somebody, sure, absolutely, study with me if you want to, but adapt their wisdom to the unique story of the land you're healing and your unique part in that story. You are an active player. So that's really how you avoid the sort of quicksand of copying what somebody else do. Somebody else might say, well, I put a crystal on my windowsill and that helped me. There's no guarantee that it's going to help you. So if you do your own work, you can step confidently into your own sort of dowsing power, your own geomantic power of working with these incredible forces in the landscape that actually create our reality. So thank you for listening. I'm Faye Semple. So let's get dowsing.